In this video, we're going to cover how to run the HMIS SSVF Export 6.1. Under HMIS Reports, hover over HUD/HMIS Reports, Exports, CSV 6.1, and there you have HMIS SSVF Export CSV 6.1. You can also find this export by using the search bar at the top of the screen. There is certain report criteria that you need to fill out before you're able to run the export. First, select your source endpoint. For this example, I am using a test endpoint, but this should be the name of your agency. If you do not see your agency in the list, please get in touch with the HMIS help desk. Your source type will be continuum operated HMIS. Your state filter, of course, will be Texas, and your continuum of care code COC will be Texas balance of state COC. Next, set your report date range. What I have here might be different than what you might enter yourself based on your grants. Specifically, the end date will change from month to month. Leave the export date as is. Your organization should already be selected for you. And check the program box to select the program you're going to run the export for. Depending on how your grants are set up in the HMIS repository, you may have one export for both your rapid rehousing and homelessness prevention programs, or you might have two exports, one for each program. It is not necessary to select the grant, but you can do so in the same way that you selected the program. For this example, I am going to leave this unselected. Also, make sure that the Exclude Deleted Records box is checked. Run export when you're through. You will then be taken to the Export Encryption box. You have two options here. If you leave the Encrypt Export box checked, you will be required to create a password for your export. It doesn't have to be your client track password, but it can be. Now when you go this route, what is actually downloaded is a small .exe or executable file that extracts the files into a zip folder, and I'll show you what that looks like a little later. If you uncheck the Encrypt Export box, then you get this warning message, and you'll need to check the box below it to continue. I assume the full responsibility of ensuring the security of the exported files and any data contained within. When you go this route, then what downloads is a .zip file. There are no additional steps to go through. This is the option that you want to go with if your computer has a security setting that does not allow it to download executable files from the internet. Regardless of what option you choose, you are still responsible for the security of the data you download. Leave the Include Header Row in CSV Files box checked, and the Always Quote CSV Values unchecked. Once you're through, select Done. You will then be taken to the Files on Server page. Now, you can already see here that I have my files, but typically these files can take an hour or longer to download. While the data is downloading, you can use the system as normal. You can come back to the Files on Server page by clicking on the Files on Server menu icon under HMIS Reports. Note the difference between the two types of files. I have a .exe file and a .zip. Please be aware that the HMIS repository will not accept the .exe file as it is. You will need to go through an additional step. Click on the paper and arrow icon to download the file. I have Windows Defender on my computer, and you might have something similar, so I need to tell my computer to run anyway. You will need to input the password you created when you first ran the export. Check the box that says I assume responsibility for the security of the extracted files. And then you can select where the files will download by clicking on the ellipsis icon on the far right. I suggest that you place them in a folder that you create before running the export. Click Extract when you're done. Once these files are sent to a folder, in this case they were sent to my Downloads folder, you will need to zip them by clicking on the first file, holding down the Shift key, and clicking on the last file. Right-click on the highlighted files, Send to, Compressed Zipped Folder. You can then rename it to something that will be easier for you to find. And this zip folder is what you will upload to the HMIS repository. Let's go back to the Files on Server page. If you did not go the encryption route, then what actually exported was a .zip file. Download the file. It will likely be sent to your Downloads folder. You can move it to another location on your computer that's easier for you to find, but once the file is downloaded, you're ready to upload it to the HMIS repository. Thanks for watching.